All right, YouTube, 4 miles on the bag, baby. Now it's a beautiful day out here, nice sunny, beautiful day, and now I'm about to show you how I started running. So I'm gonna get to the. Let me go to my first stop, and I'm gonna show you just how I started, how I got started, baby. Let's get it. In 1989, 1990, I think that was the years I was living out here. I was living in this neighborhood right here called Oak Forest. And before I even get started, let me explain something to you. I may be a little bit off on the dates. I was about 12 or 13 years old. I may be a little bit off on the date. So if you one of these motherfuckers tell me he lived out here at that time, I was living out there, man, shut your ass up. I'm just trying to explain, how I got started running. I'm not claiming no sets or no hoods or none of that shit. But this is actually where I used to live at. I stayed out here, I think for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I can't remember. But I'm gonna show you the exact apartment I lived in. This neighbor, believe it or not, man, this neighborhood is still look the same. Only thing, some of the colors probably changed on the buildings. But I live right over here in this apartment right here in 2512. 2512, I think that's apartment B or A or something like that. But yeah, this is where I used to live at. And so what happened is my mama and my aunt would like to go walking every day in the afternoons, especially when we had daylight savings time. They would want to come out here, and I would ask to come out here to go to the park, to go to play basketball. But this is Lake Mare. I mean, y'all know what Lake Mare is. I come out here all the time to go running, but I started out running out here. They would come out here, and me and my brother would want to go on the basketball court to play basketball. This park is old. This park is old. It's older than me, and I don't know exactly how long this park been here, but this park just has a lot of memories for a lot of people. And this goddamn parking lot, oh boy. When I was old enough to drive, and I had a car or whatever, and you ain't had no money for no damn hotel, shit, you come out here. Some of y'all who between 25 and 35 years old, I'm willing to bet y'all was made in this parking lot right here. But let me get back onto my story. That's a whole nother story. This shit ain't even about that. But anyway, this is Lake Mare Park. And me and my brother would want to go play basketball. So we'll go out to the basketball court while they out walking. We at this basketball court. This is the basketball court. And usually around the time that my mom and my aunt out walking, it'd be a lot of people on both courts. The courts is full. People sitting on the bleachers, waiting to get next and all that. And a lot of times we like I say, 12. I was 12. If I was 12, my brother was about 9. We 3 years apart. He was 9. So we was very barely able to even play on the court because they look at us like we little kids. So they was taking over the court basically. So while they doing all that shit, arguing about who got next, you know how when you 16 to 17 years old, you acting like you auditioning for the NBA and shit. So what happened is we wind up watching the people playing. So I'm like, man, I'm not about to be watching these motherfuckers play no basketball. I never was a fan of like watching people play. Even to this day, I have been to NBA games, NFL games, and all that shit, but I'm not real big on watching people play sports. I'd rather play myself. So what would happen is eventually I started, okay, I'm not finna get no run on here. I'm about to start running around the park. So that's what I started doing. So I remember like yesterday. I remember this like it was yesterday. I said, I think yeah, I remember this like it was yesterday. My mama and my aunt would go around 2 times around the park. I'm going around once, and I said because they didn't like. No, I'm not gonna say they didn't like. There wasn't once there was time to go. It was time to go. It ain't finna be even if I'm playing basketball or whatever the hell the deal is. If it's time to go, it's time to go. So I want to get around the park or get around the park before they finish. So I'll be ready when they ready. So my first time I said I'm gonna go around this park one time without stopping, and I failed at it. I failed at it a few times. Like, and I did not have the knowledge of running that I have now, of course. But when I first started, I just took off running, sprinting, and said I'm gonna get around this park without stopping. Shit, man. Even at a young age, I couldn't get around the park. But I didn't know then what I know now. You don't start out fast. You start out slow. But I was just taking off. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I go around, and then I have to stop. I get winded and then have to walk around. But at some point, it eventually clicked that you don't just take off running. You start out slow, and at the end, you take off running. So I did that. My mom and them going around, walking around the park, and I'm just, I'm running, but I was making my goal that I'm going to finish this lap without stopping at all, and I wind up waiting on them as opposed to them waiting on me. You know what I mean? So that was that was a goal at first. That's how I actually started running. Okay, we're gonna fast forward a little bit. I She stopped walking around the park for whatever reason. She quit. She got out of the habit. Her and my aunt, they got out of the habit. We stopped doing that. So um, later on in life, I went. I got my own place. Me and a partner of mine got our own place. And every now and then, after I get off from work, I will walk. I will come to Lake now and do a light little jog around the park every night. And it wasn't no every day. It was I don't know, maybe once a month or some shit. It wasn't often, but I would just run around the lake. It was like a light jog. It was not fast. It was real light, just almost a little faster than a fast walk. And so I started doing. I did that. I did that for a little while. I can't remember. Maybe about, I don't know, for about a year. It didn't stick, but I would do it, but it didn't stick. I didn't stay. I didn't get into that. I didn't make it no real habit. I would do it maybe, like I said, once. So I would do it one week and then skip a couple of weeks and then get back to it. So my job around that time, and I think the reason why I was doing that, my job had a basketball team. I played for the basketball team, and here in Savannah, it was called a recreational league. What that is different job companies will play different people, different other jobs. That was a very competitive era. Like, all the high school rejects and people who didn't go to college and people who played high school ball like I said, didn't go to college or didn't even play, wasn't, didn't make the high school team. We played, rec league basketball. That was pretty competitive right out of high school, and that was just kind of like big here in Savannah. That was kind of big to do that. So that was pretty much the reason why I would jog. Why I would jog. And like I say, I'm gonna say it again. Not every. That was not every day. That didn't stick, but I did like it. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, I did like it. So the rec league was over with. That ended or whatever, and then life happened. Got married, and so once I got married, I just, as far as working out, I got lazy as hell. Started doing other shit. Started just working, chasing a fucking bag, getting to that money, that old bullshit. So I was, I'm not. Let me not say it's bullshit, but it's just, you're chasing money because you're trying to, create a lifestyle for your kids and your family. you're trying to do that, and I'm not knocking that, but I mean, there's more to life than that. I mean, as you get older, you realize that your health is your wealth. That money shit. If you got diabetes and you can't hardly walk, you got sugar, you got all this shit going on, and you got $1 million. What good is it for you? It ain't gonna do nothing but let somebody else spend it, but you're chasing that damn bag. So, but anyway, I got married and then I got lazy. I just stopped doing all kind of. We like I said, the rec league shit ended, and I did every now and then would go play basketball. I would go play basketball at the YMCA sometimes, and that was every now and then, and that wasn't often. I mean, once every 2 weeks or once every month, somebody might call, say, "Let's go play," and we'll go do that. But that didn't stick either. So what happened was, at the end of my marriage, I picked back up running. And then I'm gonna show you something. See this pole right here? This is a light pole, and they got them every so often around this whole park. Around this whole park, it's light poles. So what I would do, I was out of shape when I started back running. I was real out of shape, winded. It I get tired. I get tired real quick. So it was like I said, every pole, I would walk a pole, run a pole. I mean, not when I say run, I mean a light jog. Walk a pole, jog a pole. So I was doing that. I would do that, and I'd go around once. And eventually, I would, as the weeks was going by, I would walk a pole, and sometimes I would walk a pole, jog 2 poles, and eventually till I was able to get around this park without even stopping. It was a long process. It didn't happen overnight, but that's how I got back into like running long distance. And then eventually, I got tired of running around the lake, so I would run from my house, and this is a house I actually lived in. So I would run from this house to Lake Mare, and I think it's about, if I remember right, it was about 1.5 miles to the lake. I started out running from here to the lake, and to the lake and back. If I remember right, I think that was about 2 miles, if I remember correctly. So I would do that. Then I got tired. Then I started running to the lake, around the lake, and back. I'm a little off on the distance because I mean I haven't measured it in a while. That had been so long ago. That was back in 2012. 2012, if I remember right. So I would, like I said, I would run from that house to the lake and back, and then I started running to the lake, around the lake, and back. I just kept progressing as the time was going by, and then it never stopped. It just clicked. So eventually, I wanted to do. They was talking about. I was hearing people talking about a bridge run. What I found interesting about life, once you get into some shit, you see more of people, and you see more opportunities to do other things. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. I heard people talking about this bridge run, and this bridge run was going on for a long time, and I didn't even know about it. I'm from here, so it's a bridge that I used to run. I mean, it was a bridge run coming up. It's always the first weekend of December, so I had time to train. So what I started doing was, I would do that route that I just told you about. Then when I started hearing about the bridge run, I was talking to different runners, and they was telling me about how to train for the bridge run, how they train for the bridge run. So I started training on this bridge. This is not really a great view. I'm gonna try as best as I can, but this bridge is not as elevated as the Savannah Bridge. The Savannah Bridge that go from Savannah to South Carolina. But this is a good start, the training to do the bridge run. I would recommend, if I was telling somebody to train for the bridge run, I would recommend, let's go on this bridge first to kind of get over that fear of height, so to speak. and to teach you to run, on elevation. This is a great elevated run if you want to get started, running cross bridges. I'm gonna try to show it to you. This traffic is real busy, and I'm not finna goddamn kill myself trying to show y'all how I started running. But I'm gonna try it. Let me hold on. And like I said, it's not a good view, but this is a bridge. This is the bridge that I was going across, and I go across this 2 or 3 times. That was my training. Yeah, so I would do that at least once a week to build up the courage to go cross the bridge. To go cross the bridge for the training. And this is the bridge that we run across when you had a bridge run. And after I got the courage to run across this bridge, we would run across it. Me and the partners of mine, we would run across this for the training, so we could train for the bridge run. This bridge goes from Savannah to South Carolina, just for the ones who don't know. Over here where I'm pointing at, that's the South Carolina side of Savannah. That is the South Carolina side. Then we'll run across. We'll go this way, and then this is where you get to Savannah. So I did a couple of them 5K. 5K is 3.1 miles. And the 5K is one time across the bridge. You get a trolley to go to South Carolina, which I showed you, to the South Carolina side, and then you go across one time. Then eventually I start doing 10Ks. A 10K is double that, 6.2 miles. So we would start on this side of Savannah, on Savannah side. We'll go across the South Carolina and then run back. That's a 10K. And then eventually I got up to a double pump, which is going across the bridge 3 times. That's actually what, 9, 3, 6, about 10 miles, 9 or 10 miles, something like that. We'll do like 9 or 10 miles, the double pump. That's going across it 3 times. I eventually got up to that. Then I started, I met these, like I was saying earlier, as you start getting in it, you start meeting more people, having other goals, and start doing. That's what's interesting about anything you do. I don't give a damn what it is. The universe will bring you people that's into the same things you are. That's very interesting. But anyway, I started meeting people that was running marathons. So I was told about running. They host a event called a rock and roll marathon here in Savannah. I think they done stopped. They did it about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, before COVID or something like that. Whenever, I can't remember the exact year that they did. The last time they did it, it was a bad year. The weather was real bad, and I really can't tell you why they stopped the rock and roll marathon, but they used to host a rock and roll marathon here. So I met a few people that's, was going to do the rock and roll marathon. So I started training for that. And I ran the rock and roll marathon here in Savannah. And this is where the rock and roll marathon usually actually starts. It's a 13-mile route, and it starts right here in front of our city hall. It usually starts right here. And like I said, they got a little 13-mile route that we run. And the rock and roll marathon, you have the option to do a full or a half. A half marathon is 13 miles, and a full marathon is 26. So I wasn't ready to do no full marathon, so I was training for the half, and I did the half marathon. That was my first half marathon here in Savannah, the rock and roll marathon. And I eventually, started progressing as far as, running half marathons. So I kept, just kept training. And I was told about a rock, it was called what was the name of that race? It was in Myrtle Beach. It was called a Myrtle Beach Marathon and Half Marathon, I think. I think that's what it's called. But anyway, it was in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I met another runner, and they was telling me about Myrtle Beach. So I decided I'm gonna train to run the full marathon in Myrtle Beach. So I trained up for that. I started training, and Eventually, I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and completed the full marathon. That was my first full marathon. Um, that that particular training, in my opinion, man, training for that, and actually running it, training for a full marathon is like a full-time job. And hell, I got a full-time job. So at this conversation right now, I'm a say that I probably never run a full marathon again. But you never know. You never know what the future may holds, or not. You never know. But at this conversation, I'm saying that I don't think I ever run a full marathon. Long as I'm working a full time job, I don't think, because anybody who runs full marathons, they know this shit. You got to run, if you want to be efficient at running full marathon. You got to run at least 50 miles a week. That's just how I've been taught to train. And if you're running half marathons, it's only about half of that, 20, 25 to 30 miles a week. You know, and that's doable to me. And then the recovery for training, that it just takes a long time to recover. But that's just what I'm saying at this moment. You just never know. So um and then, so let's fast forward. I started running half. I just was, I ran the half marathon, and then I ran the Myrtle Beach full marathon. And as far as marathons, I kind of thought I was done, because I was like, man, I done ran a full, I done ran a half. There's nothing else. I mean, what else I need to prove? So I got suspended on my job a few years back. This is a long story about that. I was I was wrong. Holding myself accountable, I was wrong. Fuck it. But we not talking about that shit. I said that to say this. I was running around the lake every morning. The times I was suspended, I would go. That's how I would start my day. I would get up in the morning and go run around Lake Mel. Just go run around Lake Mel, a few laps, a few miles or whatever. And I met this guy. He saw me walking. He saw how I was walking when I was walking to my car. And he saw I was walking mighty funny. He said, I was limping, but my feet was hurting. Be honest, my feet was hurting. And he said, he was like, well, what's wrong? I was like, man, my feet is hurting. He said, you know why your feet hurting? I said, why? He said, you got the wrong shoes on. You got on some bad shoes. He said, man, those are really not running shoes. I had on some Pumas. I didn't have, even at running with running these half marathons, and I didn't realize I didn't have on no good shoes. Even at that, and even the ones who I was running with to begin with, they ain't never said shit. I understand why they ain't said shit. They didn't want to, I guess, hurt my feelings, I guess, or they didn't, like, well, shit, he's comfortable with them, so I'ma just shut up. I guess that's what I'm gonna go by. But I was running with some bad shoes on. There was some Pumas, and they wasn't good for my feet. So he was like, hey man, I think you should go to Fleet Feet. They got this nice machine that you could run on, and you could they would look at your foot, and they would try you on some shoes. I said, okay, cool. So I went to Fleet Feet, and sure enough, I met this guy, the guy who runs Fleet Feet, or owned it or whatever. He's a manager. He don't own it. He's the manager. And he did exactly what the guy said. I stood on this machine. I put on a pair of shoes, and I went running the next day, and I noticed I felt better, and so the guy Jason, let's go back to when he was like, hey man, we got this run group that runs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You should check us out, man. It's just a group that just run, and they got different goals, and they have different things going on. So I said, okay, cool. This was on a Tuesday. I already ran that morning, so I said, well, I'm gonna just come holler at y'all, but I'm not gonna run that day. And that day there, that particular day, they always have like a little get together after the run. They drink there, shoot the shit, just a nice little cool community. So I went to that, and I met some people, and just was talking to folks, and all these people had these different goals. I talked to this person, they're going to Arizona to run a half marathon. I talked to this one, they're going to New York to run a half marathon, and so forth. Everybody got different goals. And I was talking to this one person, they were like, yeah, I got a 50-state goal. And I'm like, 50-state goal? What's that about? She say, I want to run every state for 50 states. I mean, in all 50 states. I said, that is dope. And then I was in my mind, I was like, I could travel and then I could run these cities, man, and view the city and have a good time too. I said, man, you know what? I'm going to make that shit my goal too. That's where I got that 50-state goal from. That's why, I'm here now. So since then, I'm at state number 17, I think. I think it, and when I go to where I'm going at, St. Louis, Missouri. When I go to St. Louis, Missouri, that'll be state number 17 out of 50 states. So in the purpose of this YouTube, I just want to carry y'all along. Who's ever interested in knowing. So there you have it. There go the answer to the question that I've been asked in person. And anybody who's watching this, if that was on their mind, how did you get started running? There go your answer. And that's the shortest answer as possible. It's a lot more I could say, but we're going to leave it like that. So with that being said, thank y'all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video. I'm a.k.a. Scooby, and I'm out. Y'all be easy.